Good evening, metal audience. Today I'm gonna talk a little bit about gigs. What makes a good gig? First, we need some whiskey to go with it, and let's start our talk. Recently, I was in Helsinki, Finland, to see a hypocrisy show, and there it's kind of struck me the idea of what makes a good show. Now, there are lots of things which in fact make a good show, and doesn't matter if we talk music as entertainment or art, the very same ideas still matter. Good songs, good performance, sound, and then some what you do on stage. So let's get it going. Hypocrisy played a really nice gig. They had some dialogue, some interaction with the audience, but mostly, obviously, they were focusing, just playing the songs. And of course, it doesn't matter. That's the way it should be. It's all about doing a gig where people are entertained, they feel content, whether they're having, listening and seeing, obviously. And well, as such, what can you say? Good gig is a good gig if you see the audience going home happy. But so often, as I figured out watching that hypocrisy show, was that so often bands are nothing but basically having a rehearsal just on stage this time with a live audience and all that stuff. They're just, staring at the instruments like, oh man, I'm gonna, have to play before the audience, and I'm like, oh man, I'm so nervous. I feel so insecure. Whoa, let's hope that this is soon over and let's get home. And that is kind of like really lame way. It doesn't even help if you have good songs, decent sound and all that stuff, if you're just insecure bunch of people on stage. If you are more insecure than the audience, which is there, to enjoy a show, and the band is just delivering a kind of a poor version of that show. And as such, I started to think these kind of really cool gigs are not that common anymore. I don't know if they ever were common, but it feels like that nowadays even fewer bands are the ones that actually doing a really, really good show. And this time I'm merely talking about how they present themselves. Like whether it's about telling a story prior to, a song, whether it's about telling about the lyrics, or whether it's talking about an ideology, religion, politics, whatever, but just telling something. It might be, this is a song about Jeffrey Dahmer, a known serial killer who used to torture and, strangle victims and then consume them as a cannibal. The next song is called whatever. It might be this kind of storytelling thing, or just then it might be about conquering stage, like, hey, we have come for you to pull this great show, and well, come on, join us with the stage and whatnot, and kind of whip the audience with the kind of energy that they are there. Or it might be about sharing some of the thoughts the band might have when they have written these certain lyrics and or whatnot, or what they have encountered during their touring, or read the news and they have some views. These are something that makes the gig memorable. For example, I have a couple of these kind of things which have just, sank in to my brain because they were so cool little events that kind of took place. For example, when Morbid Angel played some, I don't know, 10 years ago in a Tuska festival in Helsinki, Finland, and there was some, drops coming down, not exactly raining, but soon to be raining, so to speak. And David Vincent, with his really booming voice, which I cannot even imitate, was something like, it seems that even the heaven is weeping when we are playing. And it was like, wow, man, this is just, giving me the shivers. It was so different, Of course, they had other thoughts and lines here that as well. But, my point is, it was more than just, doing the songs. They have crazy good list of songs and all that stuff. But the thing is, when they have this interaction, the kind of a communication open with the audience, it's different. It gives you these, I don't know, feelings that no album can do. But when it's just a bunch of insecure people standing there, oh man, I'm just, I want to go home, put on the song, and maybe grab some couple of beers when I'm done with the gig. If my girlfriend, maybe she's happy or unhappy, if there's a pizza in the oven, it shows. I mean, if you're just, doing your job there and like feeling like I want to go home instead of delivering that energy and all that stuff, it shows. There's a huge difference when the band is actually present there instead of, having this rehearsal room feeling. If they are just, taking the audience by storm, they're conquering the stage and showing that we are the bosses here, we are the leaders, you are the followers, you are the audience, you pay the tickets, we are the kings here. Or if it's the other way, if the audience is the king, I'm sorry, we're just playing here, I feel so small, like, what the hell? But this is more common, I think, and obviously it has lots to do with experience of the band, which is then again also somewhat related to the age. If there is a band of, say age of 16 and they're doing the second gig, obviously it's going to be a hugely different compared to some metal mammoths such as Iron Maiden or, I don't know, Judas Priest, Metallica, Slayer, whatever, who have like millions of gigs already done throughout the years. Of course it's going to be different. Also, some bands just have more things to say, be it about politics, religion, oppression, war, whatnot. And these are the stories that actually get to live, so to speak. Then they have the pool of ideas where to, take these ideas from. Also, Suicidal Tendencies with the vocalist Mike Moore was one of the most verbal guys in metal music. He always, does the magic on stage. He tells you stories. He tells you about attitude, be it about standing up when you're falling down or whatever, or not letting nobody to push you around. These kind of stuff, it's different. And, just listening to the CD or vinyl, whatever. And he's one of the more memorable guys on stage. And as such, that means the whole band is more memorable compared to just a, say, random band with their spikes and leathers. And even though they have these corpse paints and all that, the badassery, they still seem like a bunch of apologetic kids. Like, sorry, we're playing evil black metal and all that stuff. And of course I understand, not everybody can be this kind of a later thing. Not everybody can be experienced. Not everybody can have that kind of a level of high self-esteem or whatever you need to have in order to, take the audience. But I'll share you a personal experience. This was something like 1998 when we were playing with Nightside in Lahti, a small city in Finland, or mid-size, whatever. And it's not like we had plenty of gigs during our existence. By that time I had been in the band like 2 years. We had a few gigs and all that stuff. And I always kind of was like kind of nervous before the gig. I never got out of that state. But when we entered the state, it was no place to be this apologetic little kid. And make no mistake, I was kind of a fragile kid back then. I wasn't this 95 kilos or whatever, pure muscle. I was more about this kind of a fragile guy who was just, long hair and drinking beer and whatnot. I was talkative, sure, and I wasn't insecure, but I was neither this kind of a guy who was like pushing people around. Not that, and not that anyway. But my point is that it wasn't that I had vast amount of experience when I got to the stage. And it's not like I prepared any speeches or dialogue or whatever. I just went there to do my shit. And for example, at that gig, after first track, I think it was, when in Finnish, I shouted something like, "We're Nightside from Turku, and all the posers can leave the hall," or something like that. I don't remember the exact words, but something like that was the message in Finnish. I mean, it's not like the coolest line ever or anything like that. But the point is, we were there not to apologize. We were there to command, to conquer the stage, and, show the audience that we are there for real. We are there to do our stuff, not apologize, not to do the rehearsal room routine where we just play some 30 minutes and then get the hell out. And as such, I never got to regret those words. I mean, there was this kind of a video footage out of that show, and we have been smiling or laughing at that video ever since. But it was one of those reminders. Maybe I should have done more speeches between the tracks. I did some, obviously, because I think that's the thing to do. With my current experience, I would do that way more. But the point is, I think bands need to kind of a step up to give the audience way more than what they are having with the CDs and LPs and whatnot. Because the thing is, with live, you have all the expectations to fill. Obviously, the sound is not gonna be as cool as with those recordings. But then again, you have the eye contact. You have the physical presentation of the band right there on the stage, right there to, you know, see them, and you can actually give them your ideas and thoughts and opinions, whether they like it or not. It's not like they are the bosses. They bought the ticket, they came to see your show, and if they don't like, they will go anyway away. But should they choose to stay there to listen to your music, opinions and views and whatnot, why the hell not to give them? I mean, after all, when there are bands with ideological lyrics, when there are bands with lots of opinions, be it about politics, religion, war, doesn't really matter, violence, it's the place to do that. It's the place to kind of give that stuff to them, because obviously they have come to see the show. They are not just expecting to get some playback thing, in which case the guys could basically do all that stuff and nobody would, you know, notice any mistake. They're to see the whole band live, and to live is, in my opinion, it's way more than just accurate kind of playing all the tracks just the way it was on the albums. It's more than that. It's about having those speeches, having those talks, having the presentation and all that stuff. So in my opinion, most bands should do way more than just play the shows. And to be honest, usually it's more the bigger bands, and they are bigger bands for a reason. For example, if Metallica goes on stage, it's never just, you know, play and get the hell out of there kind of a routine. It's having these recollections about things in the past. It's about telling about the lyrics. It's asking maybe the audience some questions. And I don't mean just like, hey, how are you? We love your audience, whoa, and all that stuff. But it can be more than that. Obviously, bands which are very live-oriented, they have the presence and the ways to get the audience to remember the gig and to feel that they got something way more than just, you know, the songs. Because obviously, if it's all about just, you know, repeating the same songs on stage, but adding nothing, absolutely nothing extra to versus, you know, the recordings, why bother? I mean, a good show is a thing to remember, and big bands know that. But there's no reason why smaller underground names couldn't do that either. I mean, they might not have the big budget for pyrotechnics or whatnot, or carry around, you know, with burning upside crosses or sheep carcass and whatnot. But just little things like, this song is about this and that, or we denounce church and religion and Christ can just die again. I don't know. But, you know, voice out those opinions. Make them a stand. Show out that they are the kings, not the followers. Or like Turbo Negro went on German and Wacken and made a Hitler joke. I mean, what a way to do. So what are your opinions about good gig? What makes a good gig? Is it enough that the band just plays and gets the hell out, or is it something more? Do you want visual experience? Do you want the band to talk to you? Do you want interaction? Do you want introductions? To mention the track names. I want, what do you think? Am I just full of fantasy crap, or do I have a point? Thank you for watching and listening, and should you have comments, drop them on the box below and I'll get back to you. See you soon, and go to see bands live. Take care.